So I don't know if it was right then, but somewhere then, just a little ways down the road, was when I started reading and learning about autoimmune issues, which led me down a whole other long road, a road that I'm still on, yet have seen tremendous healing in many areas. But one of the things that during this time, pretty close, like after the surgery, around that time, during that time, one of the major symptoms that I was experiencing was major hair loss. And I at first tried extensions and just was trying to research and figure out what are some options that I could do. But one day, out of total frustration, and I've been known to be spontaneous, I actually shaved off all of my hair. Hi, friend. I'm Susan Beth, and you are listening to the She Is podcast, where we talk about living life intentionally and about trusting that the desires you have deep within you are there for a reason. I believe that the creator of the universe put those desires within you and that they are pathways to your purpose. My desire is that this would be a space that encourages you to lean in and to hear the whispers of the divine, and that you would be reminded of things that I honestly believe you already know. That you, my friend, are here for a reason. So if you're here for more conversations in that kind of space, welcome. Let's go. Hey, hope you're doing well. And it's hard to believe we're already starting week 2 in the seasonal journal. And today's weekly focus is welcome autumn. So what does it mean to welcome something or somebody? I know for me personally, I think about that extra effort, to show that I'm excited that someone is here and to welcome them into whatever space it is. So that extra effort could look like me getting up from my seat and extending a hug, or it could look like me having prepared in advance a favorite food or drink, just something that shows that there was some extra thought and intention behind the welcome. So how do you welcome a new season? Well, I can only speak for myself, but I decided to welcome this season of autumn, or fall, as it is commonly called, with an act representing letting things fall away. And if you follow me on social media, then you might have seen a video clip on Instagram showing my recent hair adventure. I have been talking about cutting my hair for a while and decided that as a gesture of welcoming and walking into this new season, that it was a good time to pull those scissors out of the drawer. And I shared a little bit in the post that I put on Instagram, but you only have so many words that you can put in a post. So I figured that I could share a little longer version here on the podcast. It's been several years ago now, but I had been for a while having trouble with my gallbladder and having some major issues. And because the attacks were becoming more frequent and at the end pretty consistent, that finally led me to make a decision to have it removed. And I had already at that time started trying to improve my things by making some dietary changes and just trying to figure out what I needed to do to help the situation. And honestly, knowing what I know now, I would have found a way to deal with the pain that I was experiencing until I had gotten some more information and just had longer to just allow some of the things that I was doing to help me naturally. No judgment if you've had your gallbladder out. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying for me, what has progressed afterwards, I wish I would have kind of stayed the course, but I didn't know what I know now. And I wasn't actually sure what was helping or hurting me at that point. And talking to so many friends and family that had their gallbladder removed, and they told me of their experiences, which involved pretty quickly being back to normal. I mean, like a couple of days and being back to normal. So with the severity of pain that I was having, I decided to get my gallbladder removed. So when I went to the hospital and they did all the ultrasounds and things like that, they saw something with my pancreas that they wanted to explore further. Yay. So I had my gallbladder out one day, and then the next day, I can't remember now, they had to put me out again and for them to go back in and check out my pancreas. So I will admit that I was pretty scared this time because the first day when they were doing the gallbladder, I didn't know what to expect about, going totally out. But the second time I knew what was coming and I was feeling pretty anxious about it. And when they took me into the room, I don't know if the main doctor could tell that I seemed a little anxious. I mean, I don't know that I was doing anything. I was probably just laying there, but maybe he's done this enough to know that he could tell she's not relaxed. But as I was laying there and they were explaining to me, what all was going to happen, after they had explained everything, this doctor, he literally bent over and leaned down by my ear and prayed a prayer for me and told me that everything was going to be okay. So shout out to St. Vincent's, downtown Jacksonville. So after they did all that, sometime later, I found out that what they found was I have a congenital defect of my pancreas. So it's something that occurs when the two parts of an embryo's pancreas does not fuse together, forming one main pancreatic duct. Thus, my fun journey of food digestion issues. And I joke, but as much as I've struggled, I know that I wouldn't have probably researched and learned as much about food and nutrition if I hadn't been forced to. So I am thankful for that. But I came home from the hospital after a few days from the surgery and the procedure, and my life changed in so many ways after getting all that done. For starters, I did not experience the few days after the surgery and then back to normal. As a matter of fact, I felt worse with each passing day. And I reached out to my doctors and I researched stuff on my own and was told and read about that there could be several possibilities of what could be causing the different symptoms that I was experiencing. So I don't know if it was right then, but somewhere then, just a little ways down the road, was when I started reading and learning about autoimmune issues, which led me down a whole other long road, a road that I'm still on, yet have seen tremendous healing in many areas. But one of the things that during this time, pretty close, like after the surgery, around that time, during that time, one of the major symptoms that I was experiencing was major hair loss. And I at first tried extensions and just was trying to research and figure out what are some options that I could do. But one day, out of total frustration, and I've been known to be spontaneous, I actually shaved off all of my hair, which led me to needing to wear a wig as it grew out. And I found something that was very similar to my hairstyle at that time, so most people didn't even know. But I was still just trying to figure out what my body needed to heal and to get stronger. And as I was figuring that out, I realized that my hair was growing and it was coming in stronger than it had been before I shaved it all off. And I didn't intentionally think that I wanted to grow it out long again, as I had had a short haircut for several years by that time that I loved. But because it was growing so well, I just kept letting it grow. So fast forward to this year, actually, I was tempted to cut it last year too. But this year, it has really been something that I just kept thinking about and I really wanted to do. And I started telling people, after the summer, I'm going to cut it. And then I realized that I had kept putting it off for probably over a year because I was scared, which was surprising to me. And I think that's why I didn't actually think about that, because I've always been the kind of person that would just cut my hair at a moment's notice. I mean, people would sometimes say to me, like, I can't believe you're going to do that. And I was always like, it's hair. It'll grow back. No big deal. So, I mean, I've had long hair and short hair and everything in between my whole life, and I've loved all of it. And thankfully, I married someone that does too. But I realized I was scared of not having that option. What if I cut it all off and it didn't grow back? Because I do still have, flare-ups from time to time. But I refuse to live my life based on fear. And I know that I'm talking about hair here, but it always goes further than that. Scripture is clear that fear does not come from God. And I don't want to allow fear in my life on any level. And to be honest, that has been an area I have had to fight for these days. I wasn't afraid of too much growing up, and it hasn't been until the last few years of car wrecks and sickness and death and unexpected life changes that fear has tried to convince me that it has a room in my heart and in my head, which I know that battle has already been won for me. So I will forever be taking my stand against that. So one of the things that I thought about when I was thinking about walking in and through this season of autumn was continuing to allow things to fall away in my life that would make way and prepare for future growth. And cutting my hair was a physical representation of that. I've never been scared of change, and I don't plan on starting now. So I pulled out the scissors and I started cutting. And with each inch, I felt lighter. If you saw it, it's uneven in places and it still needs some work. But honestly, I kind of like the imperfectness and the unevenness of it. And I'm sure that I'll continue to tweak it as the days go by, just like I will continue to tweak things in my life. By embracing change, I will choose to make choices that will require different levels of courage, knowing that I will have to live with the consequences of those choices for a while as they reveal to me if they will remain long-term or not. And I am learning that I will survive. Even if it means that I have to live out some awkward-looking unevenness of life at times. I'm willing to do that for the new future growth that change gives opportunity to. So here's a question that I want to invite you to think about at the start of the season. What is it that you really want, but fear of change is holding you back? And it doesn't have to include scissors. I hope you'll take some time to think about that and maybe even take some time to journal and pray about that this week and the next few weeks as we're moving through this season. But I love you guys. I hope you have a great week. And I just want to say thank you, Autumn, for reminding us all that change is exciting and it's beautiful and it's needed for future growth.
Hey, you. Thanks for listening. And if you would like to connect more, head over to SusanBeth.com and sign up, and you will be one of the first to find out about anything new. Plus, there's a special free download available just to say thanks. If something in this episode did speak to you, would you do me a favor and share it with a friend that you think it might resonate with as well? And until next time, keep showing up in the world just as God purposed you to do, because you being you is exactly what we all need.
A production of Amplify Life Media.